take us through that game will be Quickshot, Crepo, and Froggen.
Thank you very much, guys, and what a fantastic performance from Fnatic. They played that incredibly well. Their dragon control and timing was spot on. They had very good showings in the lanes. There were some good ganks against PDD in the top lane, and even despite his high CS advantage, you never really felt like Soaz was out of the game. On the same token, the team composition from IG was in a stark contrast to what we've seen them perform well with yesterday. It was a much slower start. It was much less hard hitting in the early to mid game. Let's start with some picks and bans compositional thoughts. What did you think of the two teams that took part?
I think the Nidalee pick and the Fiddlesticks pick, they don't work too well together in the early game, especially not when you're matching up against the Gragas and the Lees. Like you saw Cyanide, he was dominating top and mid at the same time. He was all over the map. He even got all the dragons and stuff. Cyanide was playing this really, really well, and there was nothing Fiddlesticks could do to stop it. All Fiddlesticks can do is basically, okay, we're gonna farm. He got an early kill onto Soaz. I was actually a bit worried about Soaz because Fnatic will be really strong for a long period in the game because of that. And then he got kills bottom, but it was like Cyanide only needs 15-second cooldowns. Fiddlestick has his ultimate that's 2 minutes long.
I kind of agree with Froggen here. On paper, definitely what he said is right. In the game, however, Peke wasn't really winning his lane as hard as he should against the Nidalee. But then Cyanide, I don't know what he ate this morning for breakfast, but he should do it again. That was just amazing. He went top, relieved the pressure. His decision making. So initially he goes top, no see can't gank. He keeps farming, gets good levels. Soaz falls in the top lane, great gank by the IG jungler. It was really impressive how he snuck into the lane and got that kill. But then Cyanide goes mid, relieves some pressure, goes all around, gets some ganks off. The Drake control was insane. All his objectives. I remember one time Fiddlesticks ulties into the Baron pit. Any other jungler would just get afraid. Cyanide, he just hops a little to the side, stands out of the ulti, and is like, well, you want to have a smite off? Like, at least I'll just take you anyways. And he does, and he got every single Drake, and they just scaled well into the mid game, and it's really good play by Fnatic.
About the mid lane matchup, Nidalee versus Gragas, you usually want to hit your body slam onto Nidalee, put a lot of early pressure and stuff. So what happened in the mid was Pekka was trying to dodge Nidalee's spears with his body slam because he was getting pressured too much. Nidalee was running hybrid penetration, so her auto attacks were dealing a lot of damage. And he got hit by a few spears early on, so he had to try to dodge Nidalee's spears with his body slam. He once tried to go on the Nidalee and it actually missed, so that put even more pressure on him. At the same time, he was trying to push the first 3 to 4 levels, and by doing that, you can't mess up your body slams. They need to be spot on. But because of that, Zitai was feeling really comfortable in the lane, and he started shoving up Pekka. And he was only level 5 at that time, which led to an early gank by Cyanide, and that was a really well-executed gank, and they got the kill because of that.
However, Zitai held his flash right there, and I'm not sure if he saw the cocoon coming, but he could have possibly survived that with a flash, but at the same time, beautiful gank. Cyanide played everything as perfect as he could. And that's pretty much it.
So I want to get a question now. Let's take a step back, and we're praising what Fnatic did because they did well. They controlled the game. They had dragon control. It was one of those matches where they grabbed the lead, they incremented it, small bits at a time, and eventually it got too big for the comp of IG to handle. The dragon control in particular stood out for me. The first dragon was secured. Crepo, you were going on about how it was an early ward from Cyanide that gave them the vision of Fiddlesticks going back. They took that dragon. Then following it, they got every single dragon up until one dragon that gave up, because Fnatic snuck a Baron. I mean, IG appeared to be unawares. They didn't make a run for the pit. Is this Fnatic playing well after a night off, reading IG, maybe saying, hey, IG have weak dragon control? Or is this a matter of playing the composition well? That's what I don't know. Is it planning or is it in-game play that accumulated to this very one-sided victory?
I think they targeted the key factors of IG's composition. Yesterday, Yasuo really good. Then I think it was just reactive play by Cyanide. It's actually Froggen pointed out during the game when we were watching it. I didn't even notice. Cyanide based, came back with 3 green wards, placed them around the map, used that to deduce where jungler and botlane position was, and then started the first Drake. Once he got that timer, Pokémon positions are notoriously weak at holding an area. You can force them out relatively easy if you dodge the spears. Fnatic did that every time, took this, the next Drakes as well, and just snowballed it there. One more thing I want to highlight about why Fnatic, I think, had a really good mid game is, usually if the towers go down on bot lane and you're facing a Sivir, you have the risk of getting run down when Fiddlesticks join them. They put 2 people mid and put the Gragas bottom because Nidalee can't hold their own against 2 people mid. This in turn forced the Sivir mid together with the Thresh support. Very short lane, Sivir ulti is very hard to be used, and that made the mid game a lot easier for Fnatic.
Also, Gragas is way better versus Nidalee in a long lane because there isn't a turret, so Gragas can keep hunting down the Nidalee if he gets a body slam onto her. And you saw Pekka develop a 30 CS lead against Zitai from being even from when they went off the mid lane. And I think that was a really good swap by Fnatic.
So we do actually have a replay of one of those team fights. This came in at about 28 minutes into the game. Let's pull that replay up onto your screen. Froggen, you're going to talk us through this particular replay. Now, I do want to highlight that IG at this point, they're a big amount of gold down, and PDD sort of gets caught. So Froggen, talk us through what's happening.
So, first of all, Source, he has finished Blade of the Ruin King, and he has a red buff. So what's going on here is he's basically just going onto PDD while the rest of PDD's team is on the bottom side of the map. So PDD gets caught out, he tries to escape, he can't quite get out, and at this time he dies. And now you see Source and Pekka is engaging at the same time while all of IG's tank line is completely dead. And so what you're gonna see here is Fiddlestick will try to engage, but there's absolutely nothing that stops Reckless from dealing all the damage in the world he wants, while Source is sitting on top of Kit, and Kit can't deal with Source. He's too strong with the Blade of the Ruin King and the Sunfire Cape. So Fnatic is basically just gonna clean the team fight because they don't have a tank, and that's basically it.
Well, fantastic replay. We can pull that one down. Crepo, any thoughts on the particular fight or how Fnatic handled it?
I just want to highlight the start of it. We saw Soaz was 80 CS down. He got pressure a lot. And so that's the nature of the Renekton-Shyvana matchup. Renekton will bully you really early. If you do avoid getting dived by the Renekton and you scale into the game or scale into the lane later in the game, then you will do a lot better. And even though Soaz here is like 80 CS down, he finishes his blade. He managed to duel Renekton really well 1v1. And that leads to him being able to take down a Renekton, and as Froggen pointed out already, once Shyvana is tanky, high HP, she will just dive into your backline and just wreak havoc.
Also, another point is, so Zitai, he doesn't have Void Staff at this point. You see X-Packer with Mercury Threats, you see him with the Fiend's Unholy Grail, you see Cyanide with the Banshee's Veil, and you see Source as well with the Spectre's Cowl. And it's like, they have so much magic resistance, and the spears are not gonna hurt that much. Nidalee is not good in team fights where you straight up fight unless she has massive amount of AP. Which basically means they should have waited with fighting, they needed 300 gold on Zitai before he had the Void Staff. Just pull back, try to poke Fnatic down once you actually get the Void Staff, and that's how I think they should have played it.
So let's take a look at the IG side. We've discussed quite lengthy at what Fnatic did well, and it was fairly numerous. IG had a comp that was going to take a little bit more time to hit a power spike. Fiddle, you know, he really needs his Crowstorm ultimate to jump in there. Nidalee as well needs that ability power. You know, ideally that Void Staff Death Cap to burst people down. Was this just IG having a slower comp and Fnatic took advantage, or what could IG have done slightly differently?
I do think IG did a lot of things right still though. I mean, Illusion's ganks were really spot on us. As a Fiddlesticks, finding those openings are really hard, and he did that, and he had really good counter, good ideas to counter with the Fiddlesticks. At the same time, the thought process of using the Sivir on long lanes with the Fiddlestick gank worked as well. We saw that one time. Fiddlestick just ultis. Even if it's not in range, Sivir will pop her ultimate and they will just chase Fnatic down the lane. The thing is, Fnatic reacted to it. IG had good plans, but they only got to execute them once or twice, and Fnatic adapted. And that's the different Fnatic we see today compared to yesterday. They were falling to the same errors over and over yesterday, and this time they were reactive and they were figuring out what they were doing wrong in the game and fixed it. So I think IG played medium to well. And I think Fnatic just played well done. Excellent. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Fnatic. Their picks and bans was really, really good. They noticed, okay, IG has a lot of squishy targets. They have weak early game. We can abuse that a lot. But I also think if Zitai has picked something else in mid, it would have changed the entire comp completely. If they had went for something with team fighting, something maybe like Six or Orianna, they would actually be able to have a lot more presence in the team fights. Because what you see Fiddlesticks, you see Sivir. Why not just pick like something like Six? Just run them down with the Mega Inferno Bomb, with the Sivir ultimate and Fiddlesticks ultimate. Just get on top of Fnatic because they can't handle that as well.
Well, we did see Fnatic doing well. We've got an extra little video feature for you guys right now. It's a reckless player reaction as Fnatic siege down that bottom lane inhibitor very, very soon before they ended up winning the game. So let's jump to that little video and see the emotion on Reckless's face. So we see them going down. There's Reckless screaming. As it turns out, we can't actually hear him screaming, but you can see the yelling.
I can vouch for the screams.
Yeah, a little fist bump there from Yellow Star on the side, and PDD has all but given up, I'm afraid. So
yeah, PDD is a very emotional player.
What's the emotion going to that one? You guys have been in positions like that.
Yeah.
You've been
What's-
pushing down
what is the
Nexus.
emotion
What's
here?
going through your mind?
I think
win.
especially for PDD, more than the other IG players, he got caught in the top side of the map. That led to the Fnatic team fight win. That let Fnatic have all the gold advantage. Like, Fnatic was already up like 4 or 5k at that point. He got caught, he basically lost the team fight because of that. And I think especially for him, I think he feels really bad.
Actually, that's a good point, bringing that up. We all know that PG is a rather emotional player after games. And it definitely shows that Fnatic got into their head, because if you can find that one emotional player, actually, both teams, their top laners have known to be emotional. Soaz, if you can get into his head, he tends to underperform as well. But if he gets going, though, and if he gets really happy, he performs really well. And Cyanide did that perfect. He went into the lanes, he had to go in, both in-game wise and both mental strategy wise, and it just paid off for Fnatic.
Well, with Fnatic picking up the victory, it does set them up for a best-of-3 showdown against Cloud9 in 2 games' time. We're going to find out who the rest of the Group B teams are that will qualify. So, and then EU representatives will have to see who's going to pick up a victory there. Right now, though, Reckless is on